Well, hello and welcome to our Monday night live stream. This is going to be a fun one as we're going to be playing through the Cosmere RPG, and we're going to be doing a little bit of adventuring in the Bridgenine published scenario by Brotherwise and all that jazz. So, welcome everybody. We're really excited. It's been a couple of weeks off these last few weeks, and so we've been taking our time, having a little bit of a break. Obviously, still talking outside of live streams and everything, but it's been a good time, and we're back. We're refreshed. We're ready to go at it, or something. We were just talking about boxing, so I feel like I need to talk like we're a boxing promoter at this point. So we're ready to fight. We're ready to do this. We're ready to get down and dirty in that adventuring, or something. But how do I sound, Brent? Do I sound like a robot with marble mouth? Or
I can hear you fine, but there was definitely a double on the, like, I can hear somebody. Do you have your phone, Jeff? Is your phone on?
No, my phone shouldn't be on.
Weird. Talk again, Mike.
Talk again, Mike. Don't ask me, man. I don't know what's going on.
You want me to try again? See what happens?
On stream, I can hear like doubling.
Weird. Do you hear it now? And we're back to amateur hour.
It's really hard because I'm hearing triple at some points.
This is all you, buddy. This is all your fault.
Well, once I turn the stream off, it's fine. So we can go on. It's fine.
Okay. Well, as long as it's fine. If anybody obviously hears any mechanical, marble mouth garbage comes from, we've had 2 weeks to forget how to do this live streaming stuff, I guess, is really the moral of the story. So while we thought we were coming back energized and ready to go, we've actually found out we forgot what we were doing. Not that we had a lot of knowledge to begin with.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, whatever. We'll do this. Yeah, let us know. See how we're doing. So, okay. So for those of you that have never seen us before and you're here because you were checking out Cosmere and this is the first time that you're checking out an RPG or something like that, welcome to the stream or the recording, whichever you guys catch. We really appreciate you stopping by. We're hoping to play this in 2 parts, 2 little tiny chunks, and give you kind of a taste as to how the Cosmere RPG plays. And of course, we're going to be experiencing Cosmere really for the first time in many aspects, because none of us have read any of the Stormlight Archive books, and so we apologize in advance if there's deep lore or something that should come up or does come up and we miss it. We apologize because we just aren't there. But if you know and you get the lore and everything like that and you go, ooh, then you, of course, can be rewarded for knowing those things because we're just here to go on a little bit of a fun journey with the published adventure and learn about the world at the same time. So, all right. So I think at this point, do you guys have anything else you want to say before we get going?
No,
I don't.
All right. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and begin. Today we're going to do something a little bit different as we play, though, just because these guys are not as familiar with Roshar and everything like that. I'm going to do a little bit of a share screen here and there, just because there are pictures from the adventure that I think are really good to share. So we're going to share it with anybody that happens to be watching and everything like that. Hopefully that's okay. Hopefully. So let's go ahead and begin. So why don't you guys go ahead and first of all, okay, I'm going to read through the prologue that they have here. But the Stormlight Archive is the story of Roshar, a world of storms and war. It is the story of growth, of passion, and of honor. And today it is a story that you will tell. You are not yet heroes. You currently live in a war camp at the edge of the Shattered Plains, a vast expanse of chasms and plateaus. Today you're traveling with soldiers and scholars, loyal to an Alethi noble named High Prince Sadis. That is where our story begins. And a few days ago, a high storm uncovered ruins dating back to the Silver Kingdoms. Now, you're part of an expedition sent across the Barren Stone to investigate what's left of those ruins. So go ahead, and at this point, let's introduce our party members here. So first of all, Jeff, could you tell us who you're playing and what role within the expedition you have?
I'm playing Zavinda, human scholar, and she is the scholar on the expedition, actually.
Okay. And so she's a scholar. And so you're going to be joining us to go explore the rules and understand them a little bit better. Brent, who are you playing today?
I am playing Palinor, the leader champion, and I am a guard on the caravan.
Okay. All right. So that being said, so the expedition that's come together is an expedition that consists of about 20 people. And this includes a bridge crew and 6 shoulders to protect a small number of scholars. This crew, which is going to be moving along the shattered plains. The reason why it's called a bridge crew is because you're going to be hauling a large wooden bridge. And so as the bridge crew actually takes the bridge and places it across from plateau to plateau, obviously the scholar who's riding in a wagon will be riding across, being pulled by what's 2 ox-sized crustaceans known as chol. These are the beasts of burdens that are native to Roshar. And I think this is probably the first thing that I want to show you guys because I think this is really cool. Oops, here we go. So this right here is the... Let me go ahead and make sure you guys can see that. Okay, so this is pretty much the life of a bridge crew right here. Soldiers obviously watching through the shattered plains, kind of keeping an eye out for any type of dangers that could be present or anything like that. You have a chol that's pulling a wagon with our scholar there, obviously, and you can see that the chol, that it's a very large crustacean, rock hard carapace that seems to be purpose designed to withstand things like the high storms that go rolling through the areas. Your leader, which you can see right there on that main slide there, I guess I should say, right in front of there, that is Captain Selenar. He is the one leading your expedition, and he is the one that you, Brent, are working under as part of the guard crew and everything like that. So just to kind of get a better understanding of your relationship with Captain Selenar, he's known as kind of a petty tyrant. What's one thing that annoys you the most about his leadership?
Well, like you said, he's petty. He calls the men out for no real reason. He leads more with just a gruff attitude than actual leadership.
Okay. As a light eye, he relies more on his station than maybe his ability to inspire those around him.
Correct. He's not very inspirational at all.
That's fair. Kind of a gruff individual, very angry. And of course, you're writing right now, Jeff. You're writing with the scholar Elia Metal. She's actually been you've been taken in as a ward under Elia's tutelage. And so, what's one piece of advice that Elia constantly gives you as her ward?
That is a good question. She's constantly telling me that I need to open my brain when I'm reading and stay open to possibilities. Like when you're reading historical texts, even though some of the information may differ than what things that we know now or things that we think we know, you have to be open to the possibilities to fully understand history and all that kind of stuff.
All right, so don't go in with any preconceived notions.
Yeah, leave the preconceptions behind.
All right, good. So, obviously traveling in the scholar's wagon and everything like that, your ride through the shattered plains is very different than the march that Palinor is having to go through. And it's actually midday when you reach what Elia basically suggests is the final plateau crossing. You can tell that the bridge crew has worked incredibly hard to carry this really heavy burden of the bridge, and as they push it across the chasm, they're struggling with this heavy bridge. And you hear from up ahead, one of the scouts who's kind of keeping an eye on the horizon shouts back to the group, "We're nearly to the ruins." And you can tell that this one last chasm is probably going to be the last one that you need to take before you can make your way to it. And of course, as you guys know from traveling across the Shattered Plain, these chasms are deep, and the darkness spreads out quite intimidatingly below you. So the bridge crews, working feverishly to get that bridge basically pushed across the chasm and put into place so that they can, quote unquote, have a break, I guess, being that this is going to be their last burden. You feel that they put it into place, and everybody starts to make their way across. But as the Chol reaches the midpoint of the bridge, it suddenly kind of pulls to the side and, it kind of scuttles and snaps its claws. The beast is clearly agitated, refusing to move, even as some of your fellow soldiers, Palinor, go and grab ropes to try to haul it forward. Kind of it's anchored himself to the side of the bridge. What do you guys do?
Well, as they're trying to pull the ropes, I want to walk ahead or around to see if I can see what might be bothering the Chol.
Okay, so as you're basically looking to see what could be bothering the Chol from like a place that you could look out across the horizon, or which direction might you be looking?
Well, in front of it first, just to
Okay.
see if there's, and I assume it's something close because I don't think it would react to something far away.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Jeff, what about you? You basically, the wagon has been pulled to the side here. The bridge is about 30 feet long, and it's stopped probably about 25 feet across. So you're almost at the midpoint of the bridge, but it's pulled to the side. Your wagon isn't going anywhere without this Chol helping move it. What do you do?
I try to peer over the side, just lean out and peer, down to see what I can see. I probably am not getting out of the cart though without Elia's permission.
Okay. All right. So as you're looking about, let's go ahead. And Brent, as you're kind of looking straight ahead, you don't really see anything in the horizon that would suggest to you that there's anything that you need to worry about. The scouts haven't reported anything up ahead either, so there's nothing that they've seen that they can tell you that would be a danger or anything like that. But that the Chol is kind of in its agitation. You can hear like the scraping of its character, kind of as it's pulling itself into itself. And you can see that now that you can hear it, you actually can hear some scraping sound. And the Chol retreats into its shell as much as it possibly can. And then, with a shriek of claws against stone, a massive creature charges up the side of the chasm. Bridgemen and shoulders scream as a chasm fiend explodes into view. With one of its massive claws, it begins hauling itself up on the bridge. So if you can imagine this thing right here, I'm going to move over to our next image here.
So where is it coming over? The side of the bridge, or
if you imagine the chasm looking like this, what it seems to have done is it seems to have gone up one of the walls, and because it has a long slit, like it has a long body, basically it's kind of reached over with one of its claws from the wall onto the bridge itself, kind of using its I didn't actually see what that would be called, a foreclaw.
So you said the Chol had sort of pulled over to one side of the bridge. Is it on the Chol side or on the side the Chol pulled away from?
On the side the Chol pulled away from.
Okay,
So
okay.
like the right corner of the bridge as we're facing forward.
Yep. And with one of its massive claws, it begins hauling itself up onto the bridge. And you both know that chasm fiends are huge creatures. And it's scraping, and as it's pulling itself up, its tremendous weight is splintering the wooden planks. Its violet black carapace casts a shadow over this quite chaotic scene, because pretty much as soon as it appears, everyone starts fleeing every which direction. For your guys' information, because you haven't really, I mean, do you guys know what a chasm fiend is, other than this really cool picture of a giant thing that you see here? Okay. So chasm fiends are known as these kind of apex predators of the shattered plains. They pretty much, if they want to eat it, they'll eat it. The typical person isn't going to have any way to fight a chasm fiend, because its hard armored carapace is too tough for your standard weapons or anything like that to do any damage to it, which is hence why most people are pretty much like trying to scatter as quickly as they can. But it doesn't take long. They're very fast. They have many legs, as you may guess, and they use those legs to kind of skitter around. And of course, in this case, it has gone onto the bridge looking for its next meal. In this chaotic scene, so Brent, you're kind of looking from where the Chol was, and obviously everyone is
I'm like right in front of it, most likely.
Yeah. So you're like right in front of it. You're in the wagon and everything like that. Why don't you tell me one action you're going to take at this moment?
Well, I'm trying to call up the other guards to at least like try and use spears to scare it away from the bridge, because it's going to splinter the bridge, obviously, and we're all going to fall if it does. So we have to try and get it at least to back off the bridge a little bit.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm calling the other guards, trying to encourage them to at least poke at the thing to try and get it to back off.
Okay.
Since we apparently didn't bring any weapons that do anything against these known threats.
Yeah, they're pretty tough. They need pretty specialized weaponry, I guess. I don't know. I mean, pretty dangerous. Jeff, what are you going to do?
I jumped down off the cart. I know I said I wouldn't, without Brightness Metal's permission, but this seems like extraordinary circumstances. So I jump down and I put my hand out to her and say, "You've got to get off the bridge. You're too valuable to die here, to help her down and try to get her to go off the back of the bridge, right?
Okay.
Since the chasm fiend's at the front. But right now I'm all about protecting her. And then once she's safe, I'll see what I can do to help."
Okay. So, as you go to pull her in this chaotic scene, as Palinor rushes to try to rally the guards to force the thing back down into the chasm, you can tell that your calls kind of fell on deaf ears, Brent, in so much as that it seems to be you and maybe one other person who kind of got caught up in the moment and joined you. Definitely not enough to incentivize it to go back the other direction. And as it pulls itself onto the bridge, and it's basically got its upper half on there, you can see that it has these little legs that are part of the locomotion there, and they're kind of skittering on the planks. And as soon as that you can feel like that moment when its weight comes like fully bearing down on the bridge, you hear a loud crack. I mean, this bridge was huge planks of wood, and they just snapped like small, like chopsticks under its weight. And now the bridge is falling. Dun, dun, dun. So at this point, you're going to be making a skill check. Now, for people that are new to the role-playing world or something like that, skill checks are basically, we're going to roll a dice, and you're going to roll in our case, a D20, and you're going to try to get you're going to try to get a certain value. Now, in some cases, you want to roll over that value, like if you say a DC 10, you want to roll above 10. However, in this case, it is this is going to be an agility test that is just going to see kind of a range. So based on the result of your test, a certain outcome is going to happen. And what's unique to Cosmere is that you get to raise the stakes and you get to add a plot die to each of your rolls. Now, for our purposes and everything like that, plot dice are like, I think that they're going to have plot dice with the actual game that come out, but we're just going to be using a D6. And so the D6 is going to be a 1 or 2 is going to be what's known as a complication. And a 5 or 6 is going to be what's known as an opportunity. However, when you do roll a complication, usually you get a complication 2 or a complication 4. Those are added to the value of your skill test. So hopefully I've explained that for you guys. And we roll in Discord, so we're not fancy enough to have some sort of dice app so you guys can see that with us. But hopefully we'll see how these guys roll in just a second. And of course, if anybody in chat has any questions, don't hesitate to throw them out there.
So it's a D20 plus our agility and a D6.
Yeah. So in this case, it'll be, so either your agility test or your athletics test. So whichever, you'd basically want to go with whichever is your better skill. So, and agility is a skill, it's not actually a.
Mine.
It sounds like it's a stat, but
no, mine. Yeah, mine rolled weird.
It rolled weird.
Yeah, but I don't think I typed in the stuff right.
Okay, about to say.
So
it only rolled the D6.
So it would just be our skill, right? So it would be 1d20 plus 4 for like athletics, right?
In your case, that is correct. Mm-hmm. And then you'd also roll that D6 and tell me.
All right. I rolled a 19 on the D20.
Okay.
And I rolled a 6 on the D6.
Okay. So that would be an opportunity. Let's go.
I rolled 14 and a 2.
Okay. So 14 and a 2. Okay. All right. So basically, as you guys can imagine in this situation, the bridge breaks close to the center where all that weight was being forced down upon it. But the good news is because of how the bridge was, it pretty much grinds against the chasm's uneven walls, and it slows the fall. You do see that some of the other bridge workers and guards and everything like that tumble over the side as it leans in the direction of the chasm feed. But obviously there are some people that are clinging to the bridge. Now, in your case, you guys managed to find handholds and everything like that actually mean that, as you're going down, you're not getting hit by any debris or anything like that, and you're also out of the range of the chasm fiend as it's also holding on. However, Jeff, because you got a 6, that is an opportunity. What do you do? So in this case, you seem like you could, you were holding on to Elia Metal's hand, right? You actually grab her and pull her to safety as the wagon and the chul kind of go off the side. And Brent, in this particular case, a piece of your gear seems like it didn't do as well. What gear do you think would be most likely to break in this chaotic situation?
Let's see. Trying to figure out what I have again. I could have lost my canteen. My canteen rolled off the bridge.
Okay, water. Okay, so basically, as you kind of hit the side, you felt your canteen just, the leather that kept it attached to your backpack just snapped, and all of your fresh water went off the side into the chasm there. Okay. All right. Okay, so after what feels like no time at all, obviously, the bridge lands with a deafening crash on the chasm fiend itself, and you hear the crunch of what sounds like the chasm fiend's legs getting trapped under the bridge. You couldn't be sure if the legs themselves were broken, but as a crustacean like beast, it sounds like when you crack a crab leg, you heard a loud as it landed. However, the next thing that you hear after that is the chasm fiend roaring in pain, and it recoils itself from the collapsed bridge, pulling itself free and actually going into the chasm to the west. Okay. So, whew, you guys fell into the chasm. The chasm fiend seems to have retreated for now. So down in the chasm, it's almost like you've fallen into another world. The canyon walls are smooth, worn down by millennia of flash floods. Vines and frill blooms grow here, attended by glowing green motes of life spring. Obviously, some of these things, they just pull back as you guys are getting up, and you can see that the dust and all the debris from the bridge causes that fauna to pull away from you. The bridge itself is crushed beyond repair, and the bodies of your companions lie beside it. You do hear some faint groans from underneath some of the broken planks. Looking at it as it is, it looks as though you two are probably the most unharmed out of the group. So I'll let you start to act first while everyone else is kind of picking themselves up and everything like that. What is your first immediate reaction?
My first reaction would be to check myself for injuries, and if I don't notice any, then to go to the first person that I can find, probably by groans, to see if they're all right and see if my skill and medicine can help. Anyone?
Okay. All right. So
I thought you said these are really deep. They're not that deep then.
they're pretty deep. It's about 100 feet or so. What was the actual thing? This is an 80-foot deep chasm, which is deep enough.
But I wound up sliding most of it instead of falling or something.
The bridge kind of V'd down and
right.
and that's what prevented your fall from going. The people that fell the 80 feet off the bridge, because the bridge tipped to the chasm fiend side, they felt it was deep enough.
They're not doing quite as well. Okay, sure.
That's true. Okay. So you start looking for other people, you said, Jeff. And Brent, what is your first reaction?
Just start looking for other survivors since I seem to be functional.
Okay. So you can definitely tell that 2 soldiers made it out of the disaster, and at least 1 bridgeman. So kind of looking around, looks like the soldiers that have made it out, you have Captain Selenar. I mean, obviously he has the devil's own luck, because he looks as almost unscathed as you guys. He does, have dirt, and obviously his uniform is slightly shredded. One of the spearmen, Varda, is also, he actually feels like he's probably injured quite a bit. He looks like he's holding his side. Probably either a broken rib or something like that. He could be nursing right now. Of course, Alaya Mittal, she made it relatively unscathed. Obviously, dust and everything like that from the fall. But due to your help, Jeff, she's doing a lot better than many people. And Doral is a bald Alethi man. He's one of the bridgemen, and he's actually one of the older bridgemen that was with the crew. However, it looks as though as you kind of inspect him, he does seem to have a broken leg. And so as you guys are helping each other out of the rubble and you're kind of surveying the members that you can see so far, what's one thing that they notice about your character? What's one physical thing they notice about your character? Jeff, do you want to go ahead and start for me?
Yeah, sorry. So the people where I'm from have really white eyebrows and darker hair, but I have chosen to dye my hair to sort of match the eyebrows. Like, so my hair is really white, which kind of stands out amongst most people.
That's good. Right on. And Brent, what is something that somebody would notice about you?
My character's missing his left ring finger.
Left ring finger. Ooh, okay. All right. First thing that jumped in my head is a Yakuza thing, so I'm not... Whoa. Okay. So okay, missing left ring finger and white hair. I like it. So the oldest bridgeman on the crew, Doral, is definitely still alive, but as he kind of pulls himself to a sitting position, he winces in pain. He lays his hand over his leg, and he kind of smiles, kind of that weak smile that that somebody does when they're going through the pain. And he speaks in kind of a quiet voice to you, Brent. He's like, "Bridgenine, we've always been survivors. By the Almighty, we'll survive this." And he kind of like thanks you for helping him sit up and everything like that. So, at this point, you guys are searching for survivors. You both are searching for survivors? Why don't you guys roll for me perception test? Roll in this case a D20, and then you add your perception score to it.
I don't find anybody. I just leave.
I got a 17.
Okay.
I rolled a 7 for the red card.
Well, you do find people, but unfortunately, everyone that you seem to be finding seems to have either been crushed from the fall or crushed by the bridge, or some other thing that had happened there. But Jeff, you actually find a young bridgeman that's under some of the rubble. As you kind of pull some of the bridge off him and everything like that, he kind of coughs, and you can tell that he looks like he's fairly injured. He is younger, but you can tell that he does have a brand that marks him as a thief. So this is the indentured servitude kind of bridgeman that he might be there. And you can, as you kind of uncover him more fully, you do notice that he is crawling with orange pain spread.
Oh, okay. I try to get him to stop crawling. Try to talk to him, calm him down.
He's not moving. The pain spread.
He's not moving.
Crawling.
Oh, sorry, the pain sprinter crawling. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I approach him and I want to see if I can help. Would I want to approach with the pain spren there, or like?
Yeah, the pain sprinter just kind of a representation of something that's happening there in a very inelegant way to describe it. So a certain aspect is incredibly present at that place. Okay. If you want to, though, you can attempt to heal. Kind of do a medicine test and do like a healing on him.
I would like to try to help him. Yes.
Okay. And so, Brent, while he's doing that, any other actions that you're doing at this point, since it seems like right now you're kind of at the bottom of a chasm?
Nope, just walking around trying to help as many people out of the rubble as possible.
Okay. And if you could, Jeff, while you're doing that, roll for me a plot die. That would be great.
Oh, you also want a plot die?
Yes, please.
My medicine roll was a 7 and my plot die is a 4.
Okay. So you find that his injuries look to be mostly internal. So other than comforting words, it doesn't look as though you can really help him. There's no like, you can't cover a wound or anything like that. It just looks like he might be in a lot of pain for the foreseeable future. Okay. So as you guys are going about, the captain himself, Captain Selenar, and his spearmen, they kind of seem to be searching together and everything like that. He kind of looks, and he kind of huffs really like audibly. It's almost just, like you guys hear him just kind of go, and then he mutters, "We need to get moving before that chasm fiend returned." And the heavyset spearman, besides him, kind of nods his agreement and then shouts up the chasm, and he's like, "Help us! Help us!" And at that point, your captain just slaps him, not like a light slap, but like a hard slap. And he kind of looks at him stone cold, and he says, "Varda, you crem-sucking idiot! You'll bring the beast down on us." But even so, they both kind of like, as Varda like holds his face, he kind of looks up. And the same thing with Captain Selenar, is they both look up, seeing if there is anybody that would come to the edge. But there is no response. Okay. So in this particular case, as you saw, Elia Mattel, she's kind of going about doing her thing. She, after you, Brent, she does ask you to come over, and she asks you to help her see if there's any food or water that you can salvage from the situation, just because you don't want to be caught in a situation where you don't have anything like that. Can you help me roll a deduction test?
Ooh.
And roll it with a plot die, please.
I roll a 5.
Okay.
And a 2 again.
Well, so
what else did I lose?
No. It's not that you lost anything in particular. But, wow. No. But you do hear, you do basically, as you guys are searching through the area where the carriage was, which was holding a lot of food, you do find the food has been pretty much crushed, and I mean, there's no real way to separate it from the splinters that it was in there.
Do I find anything else useful, like ropes or anything like that, as I'm looking around the caravan?
Yeah, you can find a stretch of rope. It does, you don't have anything like a grappling hook on it, but you do have a rope itself, so you can wind that up and take that if you'd like.
Like how long?
Probably about, I would say you can get about 50 feet of usable rope out of it.
Okay.
Okay. So, after obviously Elia Mattel, she looks pretty deflated when you guys finally move the enough of the wagon out of the way to get to the supplies and everything like that. And then she starts to speak. She says, "Perhaps we should." And at that point, Selenar interrupts her. "Brightness, this entire storming suicide mission is your fault. Just do what I say." And Brent, you can see at his feet something that looks like anger spren, and it's kind of weird. It's quite disturbing because it almost looks like blood just kind of comes out of the ground. Just like a pool of blood seems to be irradiating from it. And you can tell that after he says, "Just do what I say," he shouts at Varda to get moving. and then he kind of starts to make his way to the old bridgeman Doral, and he says, "We'll leave this one as bait for the Chasm fiend." And you tell he goes to reach for his sword, and he unsheaths it and holds it above the older man. For a moment, you can tell that the captain's green eyes seem to flash red. What do you guys do?
Yeah, I'm not going to let him do that. I'll block the sword with my spear, because we're not leaving anybody behind if we can avoid it.
Okay. So are you going to try to... are you going to try to push him down? What are you trying... are you trying to...
Well, I'm going to talk. I'm going to try and talk him down. I'll use my leadership skill to try and talk him off of doing this first, and tell him that we should listen to the scholar. It's her expedition. She should be in charge, and we shouldn't leave anybody behind.
Okay.
Want me to roll my leadership skill?
And so since you're trying to talk him down, Jeff, what are you doing?
I want to use my predict talent to see what he's going to do, or is it obvious what he's going to do?
It's pretty. In this case, it's a pretty obvious thing. And
I will.
He's going to stab Doral.
I'm not going to step between. Right. I'm going to try to step to his side, but I'm getting my pain rail out, to try to stop him if he goes to, harm somebody who's wounded. That's just an evil act, and I can't allow that to happen.
Okay. All right. So why don't you go ahead and, as you're trying, so Brent, are you just basically trying to leadership him down or something like that? Basically say
yeah, that's the skill I'm going to use. That's the skill. I'm going to try and talk him down first, using my charisma and leadership to convince him that it's a bad idea and we should listen to her first.
Okay. Let's see. Would that be a better leadership, or would it be a better? I think leadership would probably be fine in this case. Yeah, we can go with leadership on that. So why don't you go ahead and roll for me?
That's 23.
Whoa!
No problem. Good job.
All right. So you're kind of appealing to reason. What does that sound like when you appeal to this? His reason for not killing this old bridgeman.
It's just like what I said. One, he's not really the person in charge. We should continue to listen to her since it's her expedition. And two, there's no reason to leave. I mean, there's plenty of dead bodies. There's no reason to leave anybody. There's enough dead bodies. We don't need to leave anybody else.
Okay. And so, kind of using your leadership, you appeal to him, you appeal to his senses and everything like that. You see that you see him kind of look at you, and that kind of anger that burns in his eyes. It almost reminds you that sometimes Alethi, they can succumb to something that's called the thrill, and it seems as though he's right on the precipice. However, the fact that you have recently, you're a squad leader, you commanded him in such a powerful fashion. You can tell that you kind of pushed him back from that edge, and you can see him kind of release the tension on his sword a little bit and kind of draw it down. And he goes, "Fine, but he's your responsibility." And he kind of just with a loud throws his sword back into his sheath, and then kind of turns 180, and then starts to go over towards Eliam Matal there. Okay. But you can tell that they both have kind of a negative opinion of you right now.
Both being who?
Him and Varda the Spearman. they kind of seemed to like they were acting in concert for that. They had both agreed. Maybe it was Captain Selenar's proposal, and maybe Varda was going along for it. But you could tell that neither one of them would have lost sleep to leave Dorel as bait for the Chasm fiend. Okay. So good work. I'm not gonna lie. So after that scene plays out, Alaya, the scholar who organized the expedition, finally speaks up. The violet-eyed noblewoman addresses everybody, and she says, I'm sorry for all of this. If you can see me safely home, I'll see that you're rewarded by the High Prince. But please, we need to get away from that great shell. And great shell being the kind of another name for a chasm fiend. She does pull out a scroll, and she holds it up, and she explains that it contains a map of the area near the ruins. And she says this is probably going to be our way to find our way out of the chasm and back to the war camps. But we first need to get moving. Okay, so as you guys, are you guys ready to go, or is there anything else?
Yeah, as long if we've checked that everybody else is dead, I guess. Anybody that's alive has been treated a little bit and can try to get out. But yeah, we need to get out of here.
Okay. So, okay. So as you guys pick up, you and the survivors, make your way to the, start making your way in the direction of the, I guess the easiest way out of the chasms here. It doesn't take long before you hear kind of behind you what sounds like the sound of a crunching shell, the sound of something eating. And it doesn't take very long for this to happen. And then kind of a roar. And at that point, Alaya kind of suggests that I think the great shell found the Chol and has finished its meal. I think we need to get moving faster.
I agree, and I kind of shout out, that general, like we should really move faster. We've got to make better time, kind of thing, and hoping that one of the people in charge kind of takes up the call and rallies the troops.
Shouting. Neat.
Well, not shout, you know what I mean.
Well, I would try to get the able-bodied guardsmen to kind of gather the people up and herd them off in the direction that we need to go. Kind of talking people through going.
Okay. So, so just so you guys are aware, it's just so the people that you have right now is you have Captain Selenar, Spearman Varda, Alaya Metal, Dorel, who's obviously limping and going
broken leg, right?
And the one that you found, the bridgeman that was the one that was young, his name is Iran. So between the seven of you total that are making your way down the chasm.
Out of how many people there were?
There were 20 plus guards.
Wow, that's a.
So
all the guards are dead. That's what you're saying.
Well, not you and Varda
and the spearman, yeah.
So technically, 3 of 6 soldiers made it. So I mean, they're doing pretty good. Whereas
they're only originally 6 soldiers. Okay.
Yeah. That now obviously the scouts that weren't on the bridge, or the bridge crew that were helping move it. Most of the casualties came in the form of the bridge crew. So
I'm gonna have the young. What was the name of the young?
Iran.
I'm gonna have Iran help the older bridge crew.
Okay.
He's young and strong. He can keep up and help carry him.
Okay. All right. And so Iran, he looks very earnestly at his charge, and obviously being one of the bridge crew, he takes Dorel and kind of wraps his arm around his shoulder. But even in doing so, he definitely looks as though they're still moving slower than Aran can move on his own. So, okay. All right. Now, as you guys are moving through the chasms and everything like that, it doesn't take very long, however, before you hear the clicking and scraping sounds. Hear clicking and scraping sounds echoing. They do stop for a moment, and then they grow louder. And it sounds like the Chasm Fiend is on the move again. So as you guys hear it, it does sound as though it is coming your direction, and pretty much Elia motions for you guys to start running straight down this chasm. And of course it turns bent down the northeast. But she suggests you all start running.
Yeah, so I will help him carry the guy so we can move faster.
Okay. So at this point, we're going to be doing a bit of an endeavor. So an endeavor is basically a skill check or a skill test that you would find in previous editions of D&D. I'm sure you can find it in other games. But your goal here is to be successful, and the more successes you get as opposed to failures, that helps you resolve the skill test. So let's see. 1 second here. At the start of this, it doesn't take long before something like this busts around a corner. Obviously the people in the bottom corner are there for added effect. But as you can tell, chasm fiends are big, scary crustaceans with a lot of sharp bits.
It's huge.
Yeah. And it's almost like crazy how wildly it seems to be just coming after you, knowing that it doesn't really have anything that it has to worry about except for getting its belly full at this point. So Brent, you're trying to run with Doral, and Jeff, you're going to be.
I'm trying to make sure Brightness Matal, trying to help her run, and make sure she doesn't trip or fall or anything like that.
Okay. Just a second. Okay. So, so at this point, as you guys are carrying them forward and you're kind of taking them, you do get around a bend, and in the distance you can see that the chasm itself narrows, and you can see that at its base there is a crack just wide enough for a person to pass through, and so that's ultimately your goal at this point. So as you guys are running, why don't you tell me exactly what it sounds like? So Brent, you're going to roll first. You're going to make an athletics check to help you to help carry the injured Doral across the chasm floor to this spot here.
I rolled a 9.
Okay. So you can see that. And can you roll a plot die for me? I forgot to mention that.
Here comes another 2. Oh, I got a 3 that time.
Okay. So you can definitely see that Captain Selenar and Varda are racing ahead. Obviously unencumbered by an injured person or anything like that. They seem to be gaining speed. Elia is definitely moving, inspired by the fact that a chasm fiend is coming behind. Jeff, you are trying to just kind of run up with her.
Run next to her and watch out for her,
Okay. So roll for me an agility check.
Okay.
And please add a plot die to it. I'm sorry.
The agility check was an 8, and the plot die was a 5.
Okay. So, so basically, you know, kind of keeping your eye on, you know, your mentor, and kind of keeping one eye on the Chasm Fiend. You are just barely ahead of the injured people, and you can see that that she's actually she's actually getting a little bit of distance away from you. Brent, what are you going to continue to assist an injured character here? You can see that at this point the Chasm Fiend is surging forward, seeming to be at a much faster rate than you guys are proceeding.
Yeah, I didn't go through on the troll just to drop him in the dirt. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, what did you get here?
What, you need me to roll again?
Oh yeah, yep. This is, like I said, it's a skill check, so you'll roll it and then describe what's going to happen here.
I rolled a 20 that time.
Oh, nice.
Nat 20 with 24 total.
Oh, and I forgot to give you advantage. So this roll would technically be with advantage. I'm sorry, but
I can't roll better than that.
nope, you can't.
Do I need to roll a plot die too?
Yes, please. Wow.
You're killing it.
Brent's wasting all of his luck on this. That's crazy. No, just kidding. So
I've been rolling pretty shitty every other time tonight, so
that's fair. So Brent, describe to me how you know, because like last time you seemed like you were going slow, and it seemed like the Chasm Fiend was making.
I'd probably just pick him up this time.
Okay. So you just kind of like hoist him onto your shoulder, or do you like fireman's carry a little bit?
Yeah, like a sack of potatoes over my shoulder, just carrying him.
Okay.
It seems like it'll be faster at this point.
That's probably true. So Iran is actually surprised as suddenly Doral just gets lifted over to your shoulders.
Yeah, it seems like the 6 legs trying to carry, or 5 legs trying to carry the guy's got in the way more than just one of us taking the responsibility of hufting him the way.
Sweet. And so, okay. So you just start making some good distance. And like ultimately, Iran is got some, has some, what are those things called? Has a little bit of adrenaline in him. And he's outpacing you, but you're keeping up quite well considering. And it's, as you guys are taking up the rear, you know, kind of like huffing.
And if anybody seems to be struggling in the group, I'll use my decisive command on them. If they're like, if Jeff starts to struggle, since he's rolling, I'll use a focus point to decisive command them so they can roll the extra dice with it.
Sure. So Jeff, why don't you go ahead and roll? Tell me what you're doing, but roll with advantage.
I'm still running alongside Brightness Matal, trying to urge her faster, but also make sure that it's not so much urging that she slips and falls, because that'll be worse than, you know, we'll lose ground even faster.
Go faster. Whop.
Whop, yeah. So I'm trying to, you know, keep the panic out of my voice, but probably not doing a great job at it. Not that she doesn't know the situation that we're in.
Okay.
Let's see here. With advantage, 13 was the best I could muster on that.
Add 1d4 to it.
Okay. A 4, so it turns to a 17. Thank you.
Okay.
So yelling encouragement.
Yeah. So you're basically you're inspiring her to move faster, and you can tell that she's gaining confidence with her step, and she's less focused on the chasm fiend and more focused on your supportive kind of the support that you're cheering her on with. And you guys, you're getting close. You can see that that narrowing part of the chasm, it's getting a lot closer very quickly now. Brent, so what are you doing? Are you just still running in this case, or what are you changing your approach at all?
I'm going to turn around and throw the guy at the chasm. No.
Okay.
Yes, I'm still running. No, of course
athletics check still, I guess.
So another athletics check. Advantage, disadvantage on this one?
Not in this one.
Okay. And plot die?
Yes.
Okay. 12 and a 3.
Okay. All right. So you can tell that Doral has not. He's heavy. He's full of. He's got that that wiry muscle from lifting a bridge for many years, but also you can tell that he hasn't skipped a meal lately, and he's definitely weighing you down a little bit. You can feel that it's like as you're getting closer, you do see that that Iran is starting to outpace you, and you are now the last two in this group. Jeff, what are you doing? You're still trying to push her brightness there?
I'm more confident, that she is running better, and so I'm going to try and be encouraging.
Okay.
If we can just make that gap, if we can get to the narrows up there, we should be safer. Trying to be encouraging.
Okay. In this case, let's go ahead and do a leadership role instead of what we were doing before.
Leadership. Oh yeah, that's totally what my character is built for. So this should be great. 15.
Yep. She goes.
Quad die? I don't.
If you could, that would be great.
1d6 and a 2.
Okay.
15 and a 2.
All right. So as you guys are going, you can tell at this point, Captain Selenar and Spearman Varda have made it to the
Is it supposed to be showing something? Because it's just a black screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. It might have been showing something. There you go. Still technical problems. I apologize. So Spearman Varda, Captain Selenar, they've made it to the narrowing in the chasm. And you can see that as you're kind of falling behind, it feels as though the chasm fiend, if it could breathe down your neck, it definitely feels like it is. You can hear the rocks breaking under its powerful steps. You can hear it roar. It's the sound of like a loud horn echoing through the chasm, and the beast is nearly on you. However, as you're looking, you do see, and it takes place very quickly, but you see Captain Selenar give a command to Spearman Varda, and he holds back his spear and he hucks it. And you can see that it goes right into Iran's chest, kind of like when you see like the movie like 300. You basically see him kind of get pinned and just get knocked backwards, kind of rolling to the side in pain. At that point, this is about the time Elias makes it to the narrowing. You make it to the narrowing, and only a few seconds later, you make it to the narrowing, Brent, with Doral on your back. And at this point, the chasm fiend scoops up the young bridgeman, kind of like sucking him down that circular mouth and crunching on him before kind of like making its way to the narrowing and kind of like noticing that it can't get in, kind of pops its head at the thing, trying to loosen the rocks. But the chasm is just too strong here. Or it's just too sturdy here.
And Iran was the
bridge,
the criminal, right?
Yeah, he was the thief bridgeman. Mm-hmm.
He did have some internal injuries, so he might not have made it anyhow.
Is that the same guy? Because he was moving pretty good for being injured.
He did. I was a little surprised. The
Adrenaline,
fear for his life. Yeah. I don't know how badly he was injured, but I know that he was. I try to tell you that, kind of like, he was hurt worse than he looked. Not to excuse the spear through his chest.
You can definitely see that Elia, like, she looked shocked at what happened back there, but she continues to move down the chasm. The sheer cliff is only about 5 feet apart at this point. And as I said, the chasm fiend is pushing its head into the gap, but it can't get at you at this moment.
I follow after. We need to keep going. Come on, everyone. We need to keep going.
Yeah, I don't say anything right now. We just keep going.
Okay. So as you guys, the chasm continues to the northeast a little bit. The surface is still about 80 feet above you. You don't see really any noticeable handholds between you and the darkening sky. But as you continue your progress farther away from the chasm fiend, you do see a cave on the east side of the canyon, about 10 feet up above the wall, so just off the floor. And so Captain Selenar kind of points, and he's just like, I think we should probably, since it looks as though the chasm fiend won't be able to chase us immediately, we should probably rest up for a moment.
Okay.
And he starts directing Varda to, get everything prepared and everything like that. Elia, you can tell that she's not sure what to do at this point. Obviously Captain Selenar seems to be trying to take control of the expedition from her. What do you guys do? So Jeff, now that he's kind of like pointed to the camp and he said, we're making camp here.
I look to Brightness Matal and see what she says.
She seems like she's going to follow along for now.
All right. I nod my head. She saw me. I look for stuff. I nod my head and I say, all right, help me get the brightness up to the cave.
Okay. All right. There's enough rocky outcroppings that you guys, between, giving a boost and shimmering into the cave, she can make it in just fine. Okay. Brent, what about you? What is your character doing?
I'm following their lead, but I'm pretty much ignoring the other two right now.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's called seething.
So, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm just reading into the situation.
Yeah. So at this point, after a few moments, Brightness Matal, she kind of calms herself, and she basically kind of says okay, well, I mean, if we're stopping here for the night, we need to take stock of our supplies and see if there's anything we can do to rest and recuperate. There's still Doral is still injured, and obviously she's looking at you two, and you two look like relatively unhurt at this point. So does she. So at this point, it's more about finding food for your bellies, finding water or something like that. So in this situation, tell me a little bit about what your guys' plan for camping for the night are. How are you going to survive the evening? It's funny because we just watched Alone. I'm wondering how much that plays into this.
So when you said cave,
mm-hmm.
is there how deep does it go? Does it end at some point?
It does. The cave itself, it looks like it's just natural erosion. It actually goes in, kind of tucks around a little bit, but it doesn't actually proceed any farther. You can definitely, you definitely make sure that there's not another predator or something like that inside the cave that's waiting to spring out. There isn't. It looks like it's for the group of you, it's enough space that you guys can sleep fairly comfortably in there without anybody having any problems. However, there isn't anything that obscures the cave, so if anybody wants to look inside the cave, they'll see you pretty easily.
Yeah, I probably have some water. I don't think I have any food. I don't see any in my equipment.
Okay. Let's see. You have.
I mean, what is your? I mean, I have some survival skills. Well, I have a point in it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have 2 in survival.
So we could probably get some water and stuff that way. Maybe.
Okay. So, does one of you want to go for water and one of you wants to go for food?
I mean, it should probably be a combined effort somehow because my skills are really well. I mean, neither of us alone skills are really well enough to probably do very well.
Do we trust the captain with brightness metal?
Well, no. I don't really trust him with anybody, so.
Do you want to stay and I'll go? I don't know. I don't
sure.
know.
If you're willing to go, I'll stay at camp.
I can probably try and find water.
Yeah, I'll stay at camp and make sure nothing happens then.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll see if I can find some water.
All right.
That's not too far away.
Okay. So it doesn't look as though it's very hard to find water. You actually can find puddles of what look to be stagnant storm water. Just doesn't have enough time to evaporate or anything like that. However, you do see that it's got, it's as with any collected water that's just sitting there, you're not exactly sure if it's like on its own, it's safe. You probably know that you have to boil something like that. Or else you get dysentery.
We'll see if they do anything.
And do you want to roll a survival roll for me?
Yeah. 19.
19. Wow. You do see that as you're going through, there are certain types of succulents and everything like that you can find. The succulents themselves are also safe sources of water. So if you don't have a way to boil the water, you can at least use these succulents, gathering a big handful of them and wet your thirst using those.
All right. I'm going to collect as much of the succulents as I can and put them in my pack to take back, to the others. I don't know how much there is or how much I find, but whatever we can do, and whatever water container I brought, preferably one that was empty, I'll fill with the water and say, that we probably have to boil it, but I don't know what our capacity for that is.
I'll be right back. 1 second.
Sure.
Continue with the succulents.
Continue with the succulents. Sure. Okay. So as as you basically go and you find these succulents, you're kind of pulling them out, making sure to get the largest bulbs you can, obviously to minimize the number of trips you have to take. You do see that Spearman Varda seems to have also gathered a collection of plants. It doesn't look as though the plants themselves are, the same that you're doing. So it's not like he's going out and collecting other types of succulents, but it does look as though he's got some plants in one arm. Within the plants, you can see that he's kind of, has a couple, we would call them cremlings. They're like land shrimps, I guess would be the way to describe them. Just a small
so
little.
He's looking for food.
Yeah, it looks like he's found a few cremlings, and he's kind of popped them in the head or whatever you need to do to.
Yeah, I don't know. Sure.
I just assume it's like since this is like a shrimp-like thing, you just.
He seems good at killing things, so yes.
Yeah. So, and you can see that he's kind of coming back with a similar couple handfuls of food. Him and the captain, make their way up. And at this point, Elia is kind of putting together, kind of finding some what look to be the roots and everything like that. Stuff that looks like it's dry tinder, and kind of putting together something that looks like it could be a makeshift fire. Probably wouldn't burn for a terribly long time, but it looks as though she's putting at least the fuel down. Okay, and it does seem as though she's able to find flint-like rock or something like that, and she is able to snap a few sparks in there, and it doesn't take her very long, surprisingly enough, before a small fire is started in these dead vines. After a few moments, Captain Selenar, looking kind of imperiously out of the cave, kind of surveying the area, kind of looks back and he kind of just announces, "You're welcome." And he's looking directly at you, Palinor.
I'm ignoring him. And I do have 3 meals worth of food, so I'll share the food around our little group. I'm not sharing it with the captain.
He takes note. So he takes note. Obviously, at this point, there, Varda is putting together what looks to be some makeshift way to cook the cremlings, and cut up the salad. I guess it's shrimp and salad at this point. So
doesn't that make it shrimp salad?
Maybe, I don't know, man.
I'm just kidding. I'm dividing up the leaves to share, and if we've got water, if we're getting a fire, I'll prepare the water to boil, however long it needs to boil, 3.5 days, whatever.
So it doesn't look as though you have because you don't actually have a water thing, do you? No, you don't actually.
A canteen?
Yeah.
I know Brent doesn't. I kind
Not
of
anymore.
The rest of us would. If not, maybe I took Doral's. I mean, I'm assuming that before I left, if you're saying that nobody has one, then I didn't gather any groundwater and all I brought back were leaves.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that somebody would have drank. We could have gotten one to be drunk dry so that we could, gather some groundwater in it.
Yeah. So in this case, it doesn't look as though anybody actually has a canteen, including.
Okay. Then I didn't get any.
You have the plants instead. It looks.
I got the plants. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I found what I could. Couldn't carry it back in my hands. It would fall through.
We did what we done.
Just one handful at a time. Survival sucks, but here you go.
Lick my hand. No, I'm not doing that. Nope. No hand lickers.
Okay. And so at this point, you guys each respectively are eating your food, drinking your water, and it definitely seems as though the cave is divided into 2 camps. On one side, you have Captain Selenar and Varda, and on the other side, you have Brightness Batal, you two, and Doral. Doral obviously tries to lighten the mood, telling stories of his time as a bridgeman, different legends and things like that he's heard. Practice stories that he's told many times before. And as he's doing that, he kind of says, as a bridgeman for so many years, I've met so many people, but he kind of oblivious to the obvious tension in the cave. He says, just could you tell me a little bit, like what fantastic stories do you have to tell? And it seems like he's just innocently trying to improve the mood. Could you, Jeff? He's in asking for you to share a detail about your backstory. Is there anything you'd like to share as you're telling stories over the campfire?
I would probably start telling you about something historical about the area that I had read about. I'm probably not revealing a ton of personal details because I've been a very studious person, and so don't have a lot of adventures to talk about, or things. Maybe a camping story. I don't know.
Okay, so basically, you kind of go, well, I read about the ruins, and so you share all the information about the Silver Kingdoms or whatever it is, and all that stuff. At this point, Elia kind of like she nods, kind of like, good job, good study. Like obviously you hit the books pretty hard before coming on this expedition. Moving over to you, Brent. Do you share any part of your backstory as part of Dora, as part of his attempt to lighten the mood?
No, there's no lightening my mood currently.
You don't tell the story about the time you were working on a bridge crew and running from a chasm crawler, and
the time
somebody else from the bridge crew threw a spear through the chest of one of your friends.
The time a horrible commander got killed in his sleep. No, I don't tell that sort of story.
Okay. just checking.
Okay, so obviously noting that your silence and your obvious tension between you and the captain, he finally kind of backs down, and he kind of goes back into his own thoughts and everything like that. As the first moon rises, no real dangers have emerged from the shadows or anything like that, and you feel as safe as you can, obviously in the shadowed plains. As you guys you get lost in your own thoughts and you turn in for the night, the captain, obviously he's kind of like he shows disappointment, but he doesn't talk to you, Palinor. He just moves to the other side of the cave, sets his back against the wall, and kind of rests his eyes. Varda, kind of like just plops down, lays down on his back, and Elia, kind of tries to find a way to get comfortable on this rocky surface. But as you guys can tell, that's not really easy to do. With that, we're going to, I think we'll leave it there. It's going to be a short adventure because we're going to break this up into 2 parts. So that is the rest. You found yourself your way to safety. There you go. Last thing.
It's going to be a tense night. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
Yep, it's going to be a pretty tense night. It's true.
Do I need to roll for combat in the middle of the night, Brent?
Yeah. Do I just hear a whetstone going over a sword all night?
Just me playing with my spear.
Just Palinor sharpening that spear just in case, right?
Just in case. Nice. Well, either way, I like it. So that was part A of 2, part 1 of 2 of the Bridgenine introductory adventure to Cosmere. I hope I'm doing it enough justice that you guys are getting the feel for the world. I did research chasm fiends a little bit more because they are really crazy creatures. Like,
yeah, that thing's nuts. It looks like it just eats whatever it wants.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
It doesn't look like there's much that could. Okay, I don't know what all the animals on the planet look like, but that's got to be some sort of an apex predator.
It is 100%. Okay. Like, and obviously, since I haven't really read the books or anything like that, it says it's an apex predator, and it suggests that the player's like, oh, if you want to fight it, don't. And they do have some really cool. They do have some really cool images of like what the just so you guys can get kind of an idea as to what the chasm fiend looks like. And this is on one of the fan
That's
sites.
crazy.
They look like Tyranids.
Very, very much like a Tyranid. Let's see.
But way larger? Am I off on the scale of a Tyranid, Brent? I could
Yeah.
be. Okay.
Yeah, larger Tyranids are like enormous.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see if I can let's see if this shows up correctly on screen. Let's see. Image share. Okay. So I thought this was a really good image that kind of gave you the sense of like how they look and just the size by comparison to something. And like I said, this is from the
That's creepy.
it's a website called coppermind.net, which seems to be a Brandon Sanderson wiki. And so they've got some really cool images of chasm fiends, people hunting them, like various artwork and some FAQs about them. It's like they're just kind of a neat predator that exists in this area. But I thought that was a really badass image, just to kind of give you a sense of scale and just kind of what they look like. Because I imagine them just kind of as they're running through the chasms after their prey, just like kind of like that locomotion of like an insane centipede.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
it's pretty cool.
Sorry, Brent.
No, go ahead. I said it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's a creature designed to make you run. Like you, all you do is have to yell "run." You don't even have to get out the "you idiots" part, right? That's just like,
yeah,
run.
Well, and you can see up in the upper right hand corner, like it's alien-esque mouth.
It's got
like that. Whoosh, it kind of pulls it out.
What was it? The Sarlacc pit in Star Wars?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah. So if you get eaten by that, I'm sure it's not.
Sure, it hurts for a bit.
Not good. But there, as you can tell in the image, it's like ripping through the rock with its giant foreclaw. Like, oh. Oh, and then for scale, you can see kind of the chol behind it, just so you know. Like,
Yeah, and there's a human at the front.
Yeah.
He's even got a spear, Brent. That's the only thing that makes him even remotely tall is the spear.
Yeah.
And so if anybody has never seen a chasm fiend and they were wondering what Brent's character looked like, is that his character was that little dude in front kind of poking at its face, hoping that the spear would do something to the thing. So yeah, I like it. I mean, I at least like the world that I've learned about so far. I've been enjoying just reading up on it just to kind of understand like what's happening. And so it's a very complicated world. So it's hard to put all of it into a tiny little adventure like this.
Yeah, this is just giving us a peek.
Mm-hmm.
That's the feeling I get anyways. I'm not so I'm excited. I had fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, we'll see if we don't have we'll see how it goes between Palinor and his captain Selenar and Palinor. Probably aren't going to see eye to eye very well from here on out. So.
Well, if I find an excuse to stab him, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah. So, all right.
If it was any of my other characters, he definitely would have a hard night sleeping because he should stay awake.
Yeah, like him going to rest like that. You're like, and shink.
Like if it was for sure he would be dead.
Yeah. So,
okay. Mumbling stuff like in space, no one can hear you scream.
Nice.
Just ominous nonsense.
So I think with that, we're going to call this a quick live stream this evening. It was a heck of a lot of fun. It seems like some new people that I hadn't seen before. So it's really cool that people are stopping by. Hello, everybody. Yeah. That I with my screen setup, I only get to look at so many things. And so I actually don't get to see the chat right now. So I see later. I see Doc Possum, a lot of people.
That's a lot of new people. Thank you, everybody.
RPG Exile. I don't. If they've been here before, I don't specifically remember them, and I'm sorry if you have been. But thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining. If it was your first time, we hope you enjoyed it. If of course, if you return, we're glad to have you back. Really appreciate it, and of course, we'll be doing this again next Monday. And so, if you want to hang out with us, then join us at 8:30 Pacific time, and we will find out exactly how this adventure ends with Captain Selenar at the end or not. We'll find out. Who knows?
See how it goes.
So,
Take care, everybody.
Thanks everybody.
Everyone.